Okay, we're live. Hello, everyone. This is another science/politics podcast I'm doing to test the waters. They're going to have four topics to talk about. One of them is going to be the pandemic. Is it an overreaction? So no, I think that it's been no. I think it's being overinflated. All the hype over the pandemic. Some places they say they can't get water. Other places they're fucking chilling, having the same lives that they always have, more or less. Um, Mostly it's a big part of big pharma's goal, especially the World Health Organization, who thank goodness President Trump just defunded. But they're they're spreading dogma, and they're spreading uh that they want to force people to take vaccines. Now this is official. It's not a conspiracy theory or hypothesis. Okay, it's not a conspiracy hypothesis because it's been proven. They really do want to spread their vaccine. They want to spread it. And they've been spreading it. They've been doing this for a while. Lord knows how long. But they've been out. They wanted to spread the vaccine. It's called ID 2020. And that's the goal. Spread the deceit and the grossness of the situation. A lot of people don't understand that it costs a whole lot of taxpayers' money to fund these organizations, especially when they claim to be backed by the government or nonprofits or something like that. But Bill Gates, he's part of the issue too. Now, the pandemic, it's been overreacted to, and don't get me wrong though, the people are getting sick and dying. But let me explain what I mean. The the healthcare workers, doctors, nurses, etc., all of them, and I repeat, all of them, are being made to look like bigger heroes. And I mean, they are saving people, but that's what they always do. So whatever. But they're made to look like these heroes. So when you go to get your vaccine at these places, you'll trust them. You'll be like, oh, we can trust them. They look like they're trustable. But in reality, that's not necessarily the case. They don't even know what they're putting in you. If you ask a doctor, does it contain this? They can tell you whatever the fuck they want to tell you. But they swore on Hippocratic oath that they will do no harm, at least not intentionally. Now, with every oath, you can always break an oath, especially if the judging party doesn't know about it. Then you can break whatever the fuck you want to break. Okay, they wouldn't know what you can break their fucking back and they wouldn't know about it. So there's that. Another thing, they're lying about who's dying from the coronavirus. They're lying about who's dying from this illness. It's not far removed from the common cold, or what causes the common cold, which is rhinovirus usually. But when coronaviruses causes, it's a little bit worse. But I have a hypothesis that at some point humans suffered the same way from rhinovirus that they did from coronaviruses. That's just my hypothesis. Gonna try to test it. Gonna try to prove it soon. But anyway, that's the goal. They really wanted people to take these forced vaccinations for whatever fucking reason. And it sounds like conspiracy theory hypothesis, but it's realistic because it's every conspiracy theory has something that isn't based on nothing. They're all based on something. And with parents that don't want to give their kids vaccines, they mean well for their children. They don't mean anything bad by their children. They mean something good. They don't want to hurt their children. That's why they keep them from vaccines, because they don't know what's in it. Would you allow somebody to inject your child with something that you don't know about? Especially from Big Pharma, who has a record of being corrupt? Especially from World Health Organization, who has a, a, a fucking pattern of being corrupt? Especially from funded by Bill Gates organization's ID 2020 that has a past of trying to sterilize other countries openly, and the shit is hard to hide. You can't hide shit nowadays. You can try to pull some shit like that off in the 1930s and people will find out about it 50, 60 years later. But nowadays, you can't pull no shit off. People will find out about it a year later. If you go to another country to do some crazy shit, people will find out about it a year later. That's just how it works now. The internet is the elite's biggest enemy. Okay? And they know it. Without the internet, a lot of shit wouldn't happen. But a lot of shit would. And with that happening, they would know that they can control people even better because of lack of information. Now, don't get me wrong. Even if the information about the elites and the people who rule this world are false, that still means that they exist, and that still means that they can't be trusted. If I give you some false information that a murderer will also rape you, but you say, hey, I don't want to be raped, then okay, you won't encounter the murderer. He wouldn't have raped you, but he still would have killed you. But you avoid dying that day because I lied and said that he would rape you. He didn't look like the type that'll kill you, but he looked like the type that'll rape you. And that's what made you get scared. That's what made you run away. Okay. And you didn't want to be raped. So that's what people are trying. That's what I'm glad conspiracy theories do this, because they say, hey, they're going to do this to you. They're going to do that. Well, I don't want this to happen. Even if it might not be true, they're saving you from something else that you might not see underneath the totem pole, or that they might not see underneath the iceberg. Last thing. Oh, getting notifications. Okay. Well, there's somebody who won't be joining. That's okay. They'll just catch it later. But I did go live. Let that be known that I did go live. Another thing, the parents mean well for the children, yada, yada, yada. And I think that if a parent wants to decide that a child can decide that a child is the gender that they can never be, that they weren't born as, because it's the child's body or whatever, and the parent gets to dictate that, however that works, then the parent should be able to say, hey, I don't want my kid taking the vaccine. How about that, liberals? Their body, their choice. What about that? Huh? And if everybody is taking, and listen, there's also a myth that everybody has to take a vaccine in order for it to work. If that's true, what's the point of taking a vaccine? Because there will always be somebody who didn't take it. So what's the point? If I have to take the vaccine and I die from encountering somebody who didn't, then what's the point of taking it? I might as well just not taking it. It's ridiculous. But that's the goal that they're pushing. Nothing the left does makes any sense. Like, if you just sit there and think about it long enough, people who haven't thought about it side with the left. People who are iffy and don't understand history side with the middle. People who understand, or they might have ulterior motives too, let's be honest, they side with the right. A lot of people don't know that, with the right, I must digress for a moment, no longer than 5 minutes, that the right, actually, that the Republicans wanted to end slavery. So they did it. That's part of the reason why they formed the fucking party. Abraham Lincoln was the first ever Republican. Another reason why they wanted to fund another thing that they did for Black people that a lot of people don't talk about is they wanted to sign the Civil Rights Act before the Democrats did, but the Democrats signed it first so they can later fake a political switch, and they can get all the Black people on the Democrat side and the Southern racists or the Southern whites who were originally Democrats on the right side. They made those two groups switch their voting decisions, but they didn't switch who they were for. The Democrats are still the party of the common man, quote unquote, and the Republicans are still the party of big businesses. Now, to put that in perspective, how does that relate to this? Well, number one, if you're a party of big business, if you're a party of private businesses and things like that, like the Republicans are, you're a party of businesses and not the common man, quote unquote, then doesn't that sound like something from the 1800s from the South, the common man? Think about it. It's better for business, not necessarily a common man, to free slaves. So if Democrats were the party of the common man, doesn't that sound like that they didn't want slaves to be free? That's how it works. If the Democrats they're the party of the common man, then they don't want slavery to be free, because slavery to be over, because the common man isn't a slave. It's better for business, especially for the North, if slavery ended. That's why Republicans wanted to get rid of slavery, and the Democrats did it. There was no switch, because in the 1960s, the Democrats signed the Civil Rights Act before Republicans could. This is to switch the party. This does not switch the parties like they claim, because that's impossible. But to switch the people's vote. Black people voted for the Democrats now that they saw the Civil Rights Act being signed. And guess who signed what? And guess what? Southern racist whites, KKK, etc., started siding with the Republicans. And they didn't switch. They still were the parties at heart. They still were the same parties. They still were the parties of the common man for the Democrats and the business for the Republicans. It's still like that right to this day. It's the same way it was when the Republican Party was first founded in the 1800s. Now, that's one Democrat lie. The second is how many liberal friends do you have? Well, normally when people watch this, they will answer themselves. Well, that's the thing. That's the reality of the situation. Liberals, they like to lie a lot, and they've been fed a lot. That's why I say people who side with the left, they believe that there's 100 genders and all of that. If you're not down with those unscientific lies, then you're more of a moderate, believe it or not. There was a time when Democrats were more sensible, okay, around Obama administration, but still he was a sellout. Okay, you can tell because once his time was up, he endorsed the woman he was running against. What sense does that make? Not only did he endorse the woman he was running against, but that woman was also the wife and still stood by him right to this day, as of the making of this video. She was the wife and still is of one of the men who arrested the most black people in history. Guess who? Bill Clinton. Ding. It was him. So why would you back somebody who's so against black people? Doesn't make sense, does it? Of course, but the Democrats love black people. People say, oh, Republicans don't like black people either. Yeah, but the thing is, though, if there's a party for black people in all of history, black people say, oh, I want my own party. I want this, I want that. Well, if then you had a party, we just stopped voting for them because some other group signed some bill before they could. So you had a party, but now you don't because you want to vote for what's not best for you. So now you don't. See how that works? Okay. Even if there were 100 parties, you still have to choose between them. They still wouldn't fit every single last exact person. So deal with it. There might as well just be two. Two is all you need. You got 2 feet, you got 2 eyes, you got 2 noses, you got 2 lips, 2 ears, 2 eyebrows, 2 hands, 2 feet, 2 thumbs, 2 middle fingers. Why do you need more than that? All that's extra. If you have 2 colors, red and blue, you don't need a third color for variety. Okay? Even if you can still get the same results. You can still get a vast array of colors, vast array of shades from just having black and white. You still have a lot of gray, this kind of gray, that kind of gray. I want it to be this kind of gray this time, this kind of gray. Because anything else that necessarily, one, they might not necessarily win. 2, they might not necessarily do as well as you thought. And they might end up siding with the other parties anyway. So you have that to look forward to. So it's best that there's 2 parties. I love a 2-party system. This 2-part system is great the way it is. Okay. Giving so much variety to people, they can't handle it. The human mind focuses on 2 things anyway, especially when there's so many people. You either give them 2 options or you force them to take one, like what China does. Sort of Russia too, but China does it. They force people to choose pretty much one option, one party. That's just no doubt about it. It's pretty much damn near dictatorship. They have nothing. So you either choose between 2, go to which live. I don't you want to side with China and the Middle East. What sense does that fucking make? You're literally siding with the enemy of the Western civilization and the Middle East. What? Why would you side with these people? Islamists and these communists. They have Che Guevara pictures of communists from South America. All that's anti-American. All of it. And I'm not the biggest patriot, but you can tell all that bullshit is anti-American as fuck. You don't need to have half a brain to know that shit. Communists, come on now. And radical Islam. Duh. That's the most un-American thing you can fucking be. But never mind that. None of that matters. The liberals are so far left that they aren't even American anymore. Isn't that fucking crazy? And they aren't even taking up the majority of the they're really using those votes from the illegal aliens to even become less American. So they don't even want to be part of America anymore. I wouldn't be surprised in the next 30 years there'll be another civil war. Because they don't want to be part of America. They hate America. Literally. They're siding with everybody but the West. Literally. It's like they just hate them. I don't understand it. None of it makes any sense. Just to get Trump out of office. He's the most American president we've had in decades. And I read history. You don't have to be alive to understand what happened in the past. The same way we understood dinosaurs walked the earth 350 million years ago. But we don't have to be alive to see that shit. Okay, we don't have to live it to know it. The same way we don't have to live 60 years ago to know what happened 60 years ago. Okay? You don't need to be in a barn to know that the horses were having sex. You don't need to be in a house fire to know that the place burned down. You don't need to know that. Okay? You just need to see the fire, see the ash, see the smoke, see the burnt bodies. Okay? And you know it. You don't have to be there. So To live something doesn't necessarily mean you know what happened, because you can die during the events of what happened. And it's best sometimes that an outsider from the outside looking in looks at that time period than people living in it. Because right now, people say the 2000 teens had no kind of culture behind it. But 20 years from now, they're like, I remember the 2000 teens, man, everybody's walking around with smartphones and they had these pants sagging and they was listening to this trap music. It wasn't even music. That defined the 2000 teens. But people don't want to touch it. They don't see it when they're going through it. So experience isn't always the best teacher. Sometimes other people looking at your life is the best teacher. So again, I don't care how old you are. You can be wrong about politics. You don't have to. You can live something and not know what the fuck is going on, especially when you sleep. Like liberals, Democrats are retarded. Another thing, do you debate with liberals? Yes and no. Here we go. I wouldn't debate with a liberal because liberals, not only are they not very smart, but if you side with somebody who, you side with people who don't understand science, then odds are you don't understand science either. Now, I know for a fact that Neil deGrasse Tyson, he was on a liberal talk show and he said it himself. Well, hold up now. Don't play the high mighty ground. Not quote. Don't play the high mighty ground. Liberals, they Democrats, they side with some anti-scientific beliefs too. And Bill Maher had the guts to ask him, oh yeah, like what? Neil deGrasse Tyson couldn't name anything that he wanted to name because he would get chewed out. Number one, I can name a few. Homeopathic medicine. Neil deGrasse Tyson ain't named that. Now that's a common one on the left, even though it kind of leans center. But to be fair, that is a leftist idea too. I mean, that's like, think about it, like vegans, they're into the homeopathic medicine. So you know that it's sort of like, okay, I see what he means now. Vegans always lean left. That's a leftist idea. Two, the second one is that they believe that there's 1,000 genders. And I don't know what language they've been speaking, because in English, there's only two. And of course, there's a neutral, but that's it. You don't want to be called it. You just look retarded. Two, that there's only two genders. Also, biologically, there's only two genders. So if you have a Y chromosome, sorry, I'm not going to talk to you. I don't like people with Y chromosomes. That's my thing, okay? If you like something with Y chromosome, then you like men. That's the way it works. Has a Y chromosome, then it's a man. That's how science works. There's no Z chromosome. So you can't be called a zer. It's either he or she. The presence of a Y chromosome makes you a he, a him, a his. The absence of a Y chromosome means you have female gender. Ding, ding, ding. You're a she, a her. That's science. All these other genders that exist in people's heads and not in reality, tangibly real, they're no more real than a Christian God. Yet liberals chew up Christians for believing in God all the time. Oh, you need to stick to your own family. Focus on your own family. Okay, how about you focus on your own family? Don't force my kid to get vaccinated. How about that? Oh, wait, you don't want to do that because you're a fucking liberal and you're retarded. How about you focus on your own fucking family and I dress my kid up like a boy. I dress my boy up like a boy and I dress my girl like a fucking girl. But no, it's not about that. Liberals just want to counteract every good thing about society. They know it. Oh, and it's not hard on the camera. It's not hard to frame something as, oh, I just want everybody to be treated well, when you really just want people to be, society to just crumble and the good shit that's left to just fall apart. Now, I hate society too, but if I had the option to make it better or worse, I would make it better. Why make it worse with all these children running around here dealing with these pedophiles in Hollywood and the Buckingham Palace and getting their genders changed and things cut off? Why make it that much worse? Our world already sucks. Yes, humans should properly die, but if you can make it better, make it better. Don't make it worse. Okay? So you can't debate this with liberals. They'll tell you everything I said was false, yet if you look up any of it, you can tell that I was absolutely 100% correct. Pause the video and watch each segment. Go back and rewind it and look up what I just said, and I'll be proven objectively true. But again, this has been another segment. Your boy Rat That. I've been live, wanted some guests, but I guess they didn't show up. That's cool. See y'all later.